The boarding gate was crowded, the air thick with chatter, rolling suitcases, and the faint aroma of coffee and travel weariness. Amara Johnson walked through the throng with quiet assurance, her posture straight, her eyes scanning the cabin ahead. She had flown hundreds of times, but something about today felt different. She carried herself like someone used to being underestimated and proven wrong. Her first-class ticket gleamed in her hand, a small white rectangle of entitlement that should have guaranteed comfort. She approached the attendant, who gave her a polite but cool nod. "Ma'am, I'm afraid we need you to move," the attendant said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "First class is full, and another passenger requires this seat." Amara's lips pressed together in a faint line, but she remained calm. "I have a first-class ticket," she said evenly. Her voice was soft, but carried an undeniable authority. The attendant hesitated, glanced at the clipboard, then back at Amara. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but—" Before she could finish, Amara's sports jacket shifted as she adjusted her bag, revealing the sealed trident tattoo inked across her back, dark and precise. It wasn't a decorative flourish, it was a badge of identity, of trials and triumphs that few could endure. The murmur in the cabin shifted instantly. A young man across the aisle whispered to his wife. The elderly couple nearby stopped eating mid-bite. Even the flight attendants exchanged quick, uncertain glances. The power in that tattoo was palpable, commanding recognition from those who understood it and awe from those who didn't. The pilot, monitoring the cabin via camera feeds, noticed the change immediately. He excused himself from the cockpit and strode down the aisle. The air shifted when he entered, a natural authority that silenced whispers. "What's happening here?" he asked, his tone calm but firm. "She refuses to move," one attendant said, gesturing toward Amara. "The seat is needed." The pilot's eyes widened slightly as he caught sight of the tattoo, the unmistakable trident etched across her shoulder blades. He had seen it before, recognized it immediately, the mark of someone who had endured the crucible of Navy SEAL training. His expression softened, a hint of respect creeping in. "She stays," he said, his voice quiet but final. The attendants backed away, unsure how to respond. The other passengers, sensing the shift, quieted. Some watched Amara with curiosity, some with admiration, none daring to question her again. The plane took off smoothly, but the tension hadn't fully eased. Amara seated herself, her calm composure radiating as she reviewed documents on her tablet. Flight attendants passed by with polite smiles, careful not to disturb her. Yet she was aware of every glance, every whispered speculation about who she was, what she had done to earn that tattoo, and why she commanded such silent authority. 2 hours into the flight, a commotion broke out near the back. A heated argument between two passengers escalated, voices sharp, faces red. Amara didn't flinch. She rose and walked down the aisle with measured, deliberate steps. Years of training had conditioned her for high-pressure situations. She stood between the disputing passengers, her presence alone commanding attention. "Everyone calm down," she said, her voice low, steady, unyielding. "This isn't the place for conflict. We will resolve this now, or you will be escorted by crew. Understand?" The passengers froze, momentarily stunned by her authority. When she stepped closer, hands visible, eyes locked on both of them, the argument dissolved. One man muttered an apology, the other slouched, defeated. Amara returned to her seat, unshaken. The flight continued, a rhythm of gentle turbulence and steady hum. Amara remained aware of her surroundings, noting the subtle changes, the shift in respect from other passengers, the newfound caution in the attendants' steps. Some of the children on the plane stared curiously at her tattoo, and she offered them small smiles, almost motherly, almost playful, letting them see that courage and dedication were not abstract concepts, but lived experiences. Mid-flight, the pilot requested Amara's assistance. A technical alert had triggered in the cockpit, a minor issue, nothing dangerous, but enough to cause tension among nervous passengers. Amara rose again, walking to the front of the plane, consulting with the flight attendants and the pilot. Her knowledge of emergency procedures, learned during her years in the SEALs, allowed her to calmly instruct the crew, reassure passengers, and prevent panic. As the plane neared the Atlantic, a sudden weather system appeared on the radar. Turbulence intensified. Amara instinctively braced herself, aware that others were less experienced in handling such situations. She moved through the cabin, offering instructions and guidance, ensuring that passengers remained seated and calm. Her presence had become a pillar of stability in the cabin. Meanwhile, in the rear of the plane, a young girl had become frightened by the turbulence. She clung to her mother, wide-eyed, crying softly. Amara approached, kneeling beside her. "It's okay," she said gently, placing a reassuring hand on the girl's shoulder. "This plane is safe, I promise you." The girl's tears slowed as she stared at the seal tattoo peeking beneath Amara's jacket, a symbol of courage that transcended age. Hours passed, and the journey continued without further incident. Conversations began to form around Amara, passengers whispering to each other, sharing theories about who she might be, what challenges she had faced, and how she had earned the respect of everyone aboard. The pilot occasionally glanced back, noting how smoothly the flight was proceeding under her subtle guidance. As the plane descended toward its destination, the sun broke through clouds, casting golden light across the cabin. Amara gathered her things, moving gracefully to the exit, the passengers' gaze following her. Some offered thanks, others simply watched in quiet awe. The story of her flight would ripple through social media, word of mouth, and private conversations, an example of dignity, skill, and authority in action. Stepping off the plane, Amara felt the weight of the looks, the whispers, but carried herself lightly. Her tattoo, partially visible beneath her jacket, marked her journey, her resilience, and the battles, both personal and professional, that had brought her here. She didn't need recognition. The respect was already earned in the way people had instinctively deferred to her. By the time she walked through the terminal, every glance she received was tinged with admiration. The story of this flight, the moment a black woman in first class, underestimated and pushed aside, revealed her SEAL identity and commanded respect, would linger long after she disappeared from sight. The lesson was clear: authority isn't given, it's earned through courage, discipline, and unwavering self-respect. And as she stepped outside into the sunlight, ready to continue her journey, Amara smiled. She had not only flown first class, she had flown above prejudice, doubt, and underestimation, proving once again that true strength isn't seen until it chooses to reveal itself.